Good morning. Welcome to Math Today. Today is another review day, just like every day this week. So far we've covered place value, which is very important to always remember. We reviewed how to round numbers to different place values. We have reviewed addition and subtraction, how to do those steps, and how to do those word problems. Today we are reviewing multiplication and division, okay? Tomorrow you're going to practice using multiplication and division in word problems. So today we are just focusing on remembering turtle head for multiplication and remembering how to do box division. So for some of you, you might perfectly remember this. This will just be review. For others, you might really need to focus and spend some more time practicing, okay? We don't want to forget the skills we learned and worked so hard on last fall. So first, we'll start with multiplication. So if you don't have a whiteboard or paper, please pause the video and go grab that. But up at the top, I have written out a basic math fact. Now, if you have forgotten what we call the different numbers in a math problem, those are important, right? Sometimes a math test or question might say, find the quotient of something. Well, you have to know that a quotient is the answer to a division problem. So let's real quick go over what do we call the different parts of multiplication. And I'm hoping you remember, both of the numbers that we can multiply together are called factors, right? We know factors. Factors are the numbers that we can put together to equal anything. So if our product is 24, we know that 4 and 6 are factors, along with 1 and 24, 2 and 12. Okay, so remember all that, 8 and 3. And the answer to multiplication is always a product. So you multiply factors together, your answer is called the product. Okay, hopefully you remember that. We're quickly going to review our zeros trick. Remember, in multiplication, there is a trick with a zero. Do not let this become a difficult problem, okay? It should be just as simple as this. So, before I tell you, think to yourself, what do you do to make this problem simpler? Hopefully you're covering up that zero, right? We have to cover up the zero. So now I have 6 times 4, which we know is 24. But then for every zero I cover, I must add it to the end. So since I only covered up 1 0, I only add 1. So 6 times 40 is 240. All right, let's try it again. This time I have zeros in different numbers. That's okay. I still can cover up all my zeros. I have a 6 times 4, which is 24. And I had 2 zeros that I covered up. So I add 2 zeros to the end of my number. Now remember the comma rule, we have to go over 3 places, starting all the way past the ones. 1, 2, 3. All right. So you will have a few practice problems on the zero trick. Just remember, for every zero you cover up, you have to add on at the end. All right, now let's do a basic 4 by 1 multiplication problem. So you know we always did a turtle head. It's not as important on this problem as it is this one, right? And now you understand that. But it's good practice, okay? So if you remember, we always start with the number in his neck, which is a 3. So if you've completely forgotten, we take this through and we multiply it by the 4. Then we multiply the 3 by the 6. Then the 3 by the 1. And finally the 3 by the 2. Okay, so you go straight above and then over across. So 3 times 4 is... Hopefully you all said 12. Remember, I can't write a 12 down here. I can only put 1 digit below. So just like in addition, if I have an extra value that goes to the tens, I have to carry it. So my plus 1 goes up above my 6. My 2 goes below because 4 times 3 is 12. All right, if you're forgetting this, it'll come back to you as we review, so hang in there with me. Then we go back to the number in the neck every time, right? 3 times 6, I know is 18, but don't forget, I have to add 1 more. So 18 plus 1 more would be 19. So now I have to put another 1 on top of the 1 in the hundreds place. My 9 can go below. All right, so now I've done 3 times 4, I've done 3 times 6. I am ready for 3 times 1, which is 3, plus 1 more would be 4. So this time I don't have anything to carry over. And I only have 1 more step. Returning to the number in the neck, 3 times 2, we know is 6. Copy that down. Okay, remember, we won't have a second row You only have a second row if you have two numbers down here, okay? And we'll see that in the next example. So that is my, that's my answer. So I can hop over 3 places, put my comma. All right. So if you haven't already copied this down, copy down 84 times 37. Make sure you draw your turtle head in there. I am going to give him an eye. And he is like super cheesy happy today. All right. So we have 84 times 37. And before you start, take a deep breath. You can remember all these steps. Same as here, we always start with the number in the neck. Always, okay? So we can forget about that 3 for a bit, right? Let's just start the problem like we know how. So starting with the number in his neck, I've got 7 times 4, which, Sergeant Sevens, we know these. 7, 14, 21, 28. 7 times 4 is 28. I have to carry my 2, and I can put my 8 in the ones place down below. Second step, still just using this number in the neck. 7 times 8. Okay, if we kept going with Sergeant Sevens, that should be 56. Plus 2. 56, 57, 58. So I can't carry it over any further, so I can put the entire answer right here. Okay. Now, if you guys don't remember the magic steps, go ahead and do them if you remember. If not, remember, we have to draw a collar. Okay, that helps remind us that we've used the number in the neck. We're done with it. We also have to, well, I encourage you to scribble out the numbers on his head so you don't get them confused. And then we always lay an egg. Remember? Right here. So draw a collar, lay an egg, and if it helps you to scribble out the numbers on top that we've already used, go for it. All right, so now we start over the process using the number outside the neck. This kind of got erased. All right, so we're going to start over the same steps, except we'll use the 3. So 3 times 4 is 12, right? We carry our 1, put the 2 below. Back to this number. 3 times 8 is 24. Plus 1, don't forget. So 24 plus 1 would be 25. And I could put the entire 25 down here because there was no other digit to carry. Okay? So now our final step. We have 2 rows, partial answers down here. If we combine them, add them up, we'll have our total answer. So go ahead, draw a line. I'm going to give you a minute to start doing the work yourself. And then I will get going and you can check my work, see if I got it right. So if your answer matches mine, 3,108. Hopefully I got that one right. I don't have anyone here to tell me I'm wrong. All right, but that is the basics of multiplication. So remember, we multiply together factors to get a product. Okay? You know your zero trick. That can be very helpful. You know how to multiply by a 1-digit number, which is pretty simple, right? And you can even do the 2 by 2. You can do it. Don't forget to draw a collar, lay an egg, and keep track of the numbers on the top. Okay? All right, so that's it for multiplication. We're going to shift now to division. So go ahead, erase your board. All right. When we do division, we think of it like the opposite of multiplication, right? So the first number, the largest number, it's almost like the answer to a multiplication problem, right? So we start there with our large number. That's called our dividend, okay? And then using a divisor, we split it up. So when I split 24 up into 4 groups, I will end up with 6 things in each group, and the answer to division is called a quotient, okay? These 2 terms, dividend and divisor, I'm not as concerned about you knowing as quotient. You need to know. Answer to division is a quotient. All right, now we've learned box division in our class. So, does anyone remember, what should I have here between my 8 and my 4? Hopefully you're all thinking about a line, right? We want to split them into boxes. So, it always helps for the line to hug just to the right of your number. Because remember, when you add numbers up, they go in front of each digit. All right. So first steps, we are thinking without going over. We have to play by the Price is Right rules. How many 3s can fit into 8 without going over? So you can think about skip counting. So 3, 6, 9. Whoop. 3 groups is too many, right? I got to 9. So I have to back it up. 2 groups of 3 will fit in 8 without going over. Then we multiply. What is 2 groups of 3? It's 6. So I put my 6 down below and I subtract to see what I've got left over. 8 minus 6 is a 2. All right. Now, we have to send that 2 on a field trip. It wants to come hang with the 4, so send it on up. So now we see how many 3s will go into 24 without going over. So if you know your math facts, you might know that answer. If not, you might have to skip count. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. So it looks like 8 groups evenly, right? 3 times 8 is 24. So I put my 8 on the top. 8 groups of 3, or 8 times 3 is 24. And when we subtract, we have no remainder. Remember, if you get a 0 here, there's no remainder. If I had any other digit down here, I would have to write R and then copy my digit up. Okay? All right. So now our second problem, and I'm going to erase a bit of the top so we've got space. Go ahead and copy it down if you haven't. 3,108 divided by 5. And I do recommend not using commas when you're doing box division. It sometimes can almost look like another digit. So then remember, we draw our lines. All right, and off we go. So first question, we ask ourselves, how many 5s will go into 3 without going over? And I have heard some of you struggle on this. So if you need to make it a real item, just imagine. There are 5 Mrs. Hares. There are 3 chairs. Can we fit all of Mrs. Hare into those 3 chairs? Nope, I would need 5, right? 5 won't go into 3 no matter how hard we try unless we split it into partial pieces, and that's not what we're doing. So 5 is bigger than 3. It won't work. We put a 0 on the top. 0 times 5 is 0. 3 minus 0 is a 3. So I get to send that on up here to join my 1. So now we can think, how many 5s will go into 31 without going over? If you know your math facts, that would be 6, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So 6 times without going over. 6 times 5 is 30. And when we subtract, I have 1 left over. Okay, but we know when we're doing division, if you have something left, you need to carry it to the next place. So this 0 will become a 10. Well, this one's easy. How many 5s go into 10? Hopefully you're all thinking 2. 2 times 5 is 10. So I've got nothing to carry up for that number. If you want to, for consistency, remember we were carrying up the 0 just to remember. Now how many 5s will fit into 8? Just 1. 1 times 5 is 5. 8 minus 5 is 3. All right, well there is nowhere for me to send this 3 on a field trip. So what does that mean this 3 is in our problem? It's our remainder. So make sure, some of you have been leaving it down here. So if you just wrote 621 and your leftover remainder was here, that's incorrect. You have to write R3. Okay, so this would be your answer. You would not have to include that 0, right? But 621 remainder 3, that's the complete answer. If you have a remainder, you have to include it in your answer, okay? You cannot leave it down here. All right, so your practice today will be going over multiplication problems. You'll do some 0 trick stuff. You'll work with problems like both of these examples. And then you will have a few division problems to work out as well. All right, so do your best. If you need some more help, you can rewatch this video. You can also send me questions, or you can request that we meet up and I can show you some more examples with you. Okay? All right, good luck. Have a great day. Keep working hard.